as the fate permitted, instead of wearing a white coat, I'm wearing a black coat right now. Right is not what is required. Apt is what is required. I would go to my mother and ask her that, do you know this chocolate you are eating and whatever is written behind is a legal book talking. So she was like, are you like, really? Thank my stars that I'm not a doctor, I'm not killing somebody over a stretcher. As a lawyer, I think we never stop learning. So creating a value for somebody and helping them understand the value of the same, you have to invest in yourself and in the company you're working for. So what you need to do is to be very well researched, how to relevantly quote the law to them and how to put it forward to them is the key to the success.
Hello everyone, I welcome you to our Lawyers Club India LCI talk today. I am Raghav Arora, Assistant Editor at lawyersclubindia.com, which is India's largest knowledge sharing platform for legal professionals and public. Today we have our honorable guest and very amazing guest, Ms. Shreya Maheshwari. She is the General Counsel at LOTS Wholesale Solutions and has multiple jurisdictional experience both in retail, in-house retail, cash and carry, e-commerce, information technology, oil and gas industries, and various related fields like IPR, employment, arbitration, and real estate laws. She has never seemed to have stepped off the pedal, having held glorious positions at various massive corporate firms like Schneider Electric, IBEBO Group, and today at LOTS. So Shreya, to begin with the conversation, you're a law graduate from DES Law College, and you have had commendable curricular and extracurricular record. So you've also done a diploma in entrepreneurship, administration and business law, after which you started pursuing the company secretary course.
That would be correct.
So what I want to know is how and why did you pursue law, and further you invested more in your education, and how do you define yourself as a student in the erstwhile?
Thank you first of all for having me on the platform. To answer your question, I think law was never my first choice. I had dropped a year after 12th to get into medical field. As the fate permitted, instead of wearing a white coat, I'm wearing a black coat right now. And so much so, I cherish every moment I have done. And being a lawyer, I have enjoyed every single moment I have been there. So to start as a student, I'm not going to say that I've been a very great student to any teacher to look up to, but I have nevertheless, I've never been a student whom the teacher would not look out for. So as a student, I always made sure that my curriculars are up to the mark. They need not be excellent, they need not be down into the gutter, but they were just right up the mark to get me to a platform where I can start my career with. You go back to my college asking my name, definitely you will know me, but how much they will appreciate, that's exactly as questionable. But yes, I enjoyed my education. And why did I keep pursuing all? As a lawyer, I think we never stop learning. And with the volatile state which our country is in, I think every single day there is some amendment or the other coming in. And I think as a lawyer, the lawyer remains a student throughout his or her life. And so am I today.
Okay. Shreya, you were a volunteer at Teach for India campaign and also the campus ambassador. Then you were also in the placement cell and also the research cell. So you were obviously one of the students whom everyone looked up to. So the question here is, how did these experiences help you in making you more skillful as an individual and your holistic, developments to take you where you are today?
So as when I was the ambassador for Teach for India and when I was volunteering, while both of the experience were very, very way apart from each other, when I volunteered, I was teaching kids of about first, second standard. While I was only teaching them English, there were incidences which have taught me how to empathize and how to sympathize. And both the things have a very, very different meaning. And when I was an ambassador, it helped me understand how to build and how to tell a senior or a junior, why they should take an initiative to build in something. So creating a value for somebody and helping them understand the value of the same is what I built in during this whole period. While as a placement cell coordinator, I think I learnt the nuances of tackling a senior. It was very difficult to justify their ways of dealing with their career and helping them deal with their career and being as answerable to the both sides of the plate, while to the person who is coming to the college to help to take the person in and helping the person who wants to get in, and still helping them understand why did they not get in. So managing their expectations, empathizing, and I think these are the things which I still apply in my career today as well when I deal with my juniors, my seniors, how to tackle the expectations. I think this is where was the platform I learned, I think, the best, where I learned from.
So yeah, right. So definitely you learn from people and you apply those things when you have so many people around working under you. Okay, so the third question here is, how was your journey to the top of the ladder? So you were a legal counsel first, then you also worked in another company as the counsel, then you came to be the general counsel here. Then have you also considered any other profession than being a lawyer?
After becoming a lawyer, I think I'd never considered any other profession, and I thank my stars that I'm not a doctor, I'm not killing somebody over a stretcher. Yes, but so if I were to say how I have grown in this system, it has been a very exciting journey. From the law firm to a corporate house, it's a very, very different domains. One side you are a problem shower, and while the other side there you are a solution provider. So when it comes to you being a solution provider, you're more to do with the business, you're more to do with what needs to be told to business and how well it has to be told, and ensuring that how the laws should be taken care of while you're dealing in the best form of business. If I were to say how I tell my people in here, I really have to manage the expectation of each person in here. While when the board comes to you asking for your advice, it actually comes for you looking out for a solution and let them do what they want to do. So how to tackle their expectation and get them to a place to agree to you along with compliance with the law is, I think, is the most experiential thing which I have learned during this whole ladder process. And how long did it take me to be here? I think if I were to double my time is what I have spent in any organization, because I mostly work day and night during my work hours. And because when you work in a legal team and companies like Schneider and IBO and Lots, they believe that you have to get into the speed and execution as soon as possible, and you really have to put in a little extra effort to be there where you have to be.
Yeah. So where you are at a very young age. So you are a general counsel for such a huge firm. So I want to know, what is the learning curve that one has to follow when one aspires to become a general counsel for a firm like this, and like through the process, what you have been most grateful to or who you have been most grateful to?
So to be at this place, apart from knowing law, definitely, you have to be very, very hard and a sincere worker rather. You have to invest in yourself and in the company you're working for. Not just knowing law can make you reach at a position of that of a GC or a head legal or leading a department of a big conglomerate. What you need to be in a company is to be a business person, a business partner. In a company, you should treat every person in the company coming to you as a problem, as a client for you in a law firm. You should be answering to this person as if you're going to be answerable for everything you write into that email or a paper or any word you say for. So the hard work is what it takes to be there. Just knowing law will not solve it, and just hard work definitely will not solve it. You have to know the basics of law to be there.
So who are you most grateful to and what you are most grateful to you?
Okay. I think the two people I would give all the credit to one who handed over this current position to me, which is Akshat Sulalit. I've been working with this person for about 3.5 years. I was working with Akshat in IBBO, and I was working here as well. And I got this position from him. So I'm definitely grateful to him. I've learned a lot from him. The most grateful I have been to my main partner in the law firm, which is Mr. Sharan. He has been mentor throughout my life till today. Any problem which comes in, I only have to give him a call and I'm up for it. So one thing I definitely want to tell anybody in this profession is maintain your network. Network is what will take you places. Learn to take the seniors' advice, because that's the best thing which will help you anywhere in your career.
So Shreya, you have been in this field for many years now, and you have seen the ups and downs, and you have seen the corporate industry boom. So I want to know, how was the corporate field when you started off and how it is now? What is the change that you have seen as far as the legal is concerned?
If you call me a veteran in my field, I don't think so. I am. I'm a very, very tiny piece in the legal profession right now. I'm about 7.5 years or 8 years of experience. There are much more people with a lot more of experience sitting in the similar kind of positions. What has changed from since the time I started and since the time and today, especially in the corporate world, I think the lawyers used to be specialists at one point of time. Now they are more of a business partners. They understand business, and they should understand business, definitely, because if you don't understand business, you'll never be able to provide them a sound advice. For providing and helping your clients within the company, you need to understand their pain points. You need to understand what they need from you. You need to understand what is the solution you would want them to provide, and ensure that you are still not going away from the law. So I think the approach itself has changed. You're more than a specialist, you're more of a solution provider. You're more of a business partner than a lawyer. Once you enter into an in-house job, you become a business partner. While you might be running a tiny little law firm inside the house, but you still ensure that you are still your hands-on approach should help the people inside the company to grow faster.
Right. So when we talk about you becoming a sort of business partner with the business itself, so what do you do? What are the duties that you have to do? You have to provide as a general counsel, and what is the ratio between the management, the business management, and the pure legal counseling that you are providing? So what is the ratio, and how do you part them?
I think it's a hand-to-hand process. It's always a shake hand from both the sides. While on the legal front, I might be teaching my team every single day to learn and unlearn what they have learned and learn again. While on the side of the business, I myself have to learn and ensure my team is also learning the business as well. To do things like these in lots, what we normally do is we ensure, because lots is a cash and carry business, and they are more, we already have about 3 stores in India. So now what we normally do, as an example, we set in and we ensure that people are also aware that our team exists, and you create a branding for your own team. We ensure that we are visiting the stores on and off. We are telling people to be compliant. We are taking trainings around the stores to tell them how to be compliant, what needs to be taken care of when an officer turns up at the store, what needs to be done in a incident of something arising out of POSH, prevention of sexual harassment, if I were to say. And so these are the things which we have to manage. And if I were to rate it in the percentage, before I was a GC, I think I would have rated it about more of a legal work than of a business partner. I would shift it about 60-40 ratio. However, when I have shifted to a GC position, a lot to do with managerial work, setting up the expectation and setting the right expectations. So I think I will rate it about 70 managerial and 30 legal, and still ensuring that the team is also learning with me. not just myself alone.
Right. So this takes us to why don't you tell us about what happens at lots? Like, what is it all about? Cash and carry. What is this about, and what are the laws involved, and how technical do we get when we talk about lots and cash and carry business?
Right. So Lots is a wholly owned subsidiary of a company called Siam Macro. These guys are in Thailand. So we all of our board members are the Thai members, and we on day in day out basis they visit, and we ensure that their expectations are set right. They understand how it works in India. While for them, the biggest difficulty they face with us is we have a lot of regulations and a lot of compliances which need to be done, and our compliances changes very frequently. One of the major things, so as a cash and carry, what is meant by cash and carry is basically it's a very old concept that you bring in cash and you carry away goods. It's a old terminology still being used. However, the business definitely has boomed up to a different level. We have stores, we have multi-storage stores, and where we see an entire different chain of customers coming in. Our customers may range from kiranas to a multinational. When you enter our stores, you may see any product under the roof, like you would see in any retail store. So you see it from the FMCG goods, non-food, food. Then you have, I think, all the pulses, commodities, anything you see under the sun. I think it's there. We take care of a small part of apparels as well. And so I think this is all a cash and carry is about. How they are different from retail stores, they are really huge stores. When you enter into one of our stores, it will be like a huge, I think you may call it maybe a triple or double of a big bazaar, how it would look like. So this is how it would matter. And the how is it different from specifically from retailers is more from an FDI perspective, because India still has not allowed automatic route for 100% automatic route for a retail. So I think the foreign conglomerates like Siam Macro or likes of Walmart and Metro, they are still doing the similar business, and they are in cash and carry model because of this only.
So, what are the technical laws, very niche laws that we have to, learn and execute when we are talking about being a GC in a firm like Lots, which has a lot of it going on under one umbrella?
Right. So I think one of the main laws which I really learned over in this place was the food laws. Because we deal in a lot of food. The biggest chunk of the focus is a lot on food. So we deal in a lot of food laws. What I learned during this, because the food law is never taught in the curriculum at all. So this is entirely a new law I got to learn while I'm in IB Lots. So in this we learned legal metrology, food laws. Then we had insecticides laws, drugs and cosmetics. All of these laws you never get to learn in academics or as a part of the curriculum in LLB, right? So these are few laws which have a very niche market and are dependent on a very niche sector. Very small. Only the food FMCG companies are, I think, reading these laws. I think I would go to my mother and ask her that, do you know this chocolate you are eating and whatever is written behind is a legal book talking. So she was like, are you like, really? Yes. So that is definitely one of the niche laws I have learned.
So that is very interesting and I feel hungry. Okay. So Shreya, you have worked at different places in different arenas and you have done it in a very short span of time, 7 years as you told us. So how do you differentiate litigation, like hardcore litigation, dealing with IPC, Constitution, CRPC, and then dealing with corporate laws like you told food and business and other laws? So this in considering the workload that we have, the type of work, the remuneration, the environment, the culture. So how is it different?
To start with, how the major differences, I think there is not much of a difference. I still read the same laws. I still read IPC and I still read CPC, CRPC as well, because I still have to apply all those procedures while I'm dealing with a company. Or any problem which might come in. If you have to file an FIR for a company, you still deal with CPC and CRPCs also, right? So there's not much that has changed from about reading the law. It still reads exactly the same. However, there are definitely a different side of the two tables. On one side, I would deal with a client and while I was in litigation, I was in a very nascent stage. I was an infant in my career for that matter. And that was a very restrictive area, if I were to say. While I enjoyed the fact that I was given a very good liberty from my senior to go argue and be present in the court for taking up a hearing. However, it was definitely a niche area which I was handling. I was handling commercial litigation for companies only. So I was still connected with companies. It hasn't changed. Thus, it hasn't changed much. While when I used to look at a contract when I was a litigator, I used to find a problem in a contract. When I became a corporate lawyer, I used to build up a contract myself and ensure that the problems which I have learned in my litigation times, ensure if I can put that on way while meeting the business expectations as well. So the experience all in all is almost the like experience. For a lawyer, I don't think so it changes much of a ground in either of the sides. It remains almost the same because you are reading as much of the things. From a remuneration, I think yes, definitely the commercial practices do pay you a lot higher in the later run. But as a litigator, if you have built a career as a litigator, I think it's only merely a start which takes you a little time. However, it works as a trampoline after that. Yeah. You're literally jumping the stars once you have got hold of it. So I don't think so I don't think so we should actually compare the remuneration part at all to either of the times, because in litigation you jump a trampoline in a while in corporate you keep jumping trampoline with a staircase kind of situation. So yes, remuneration, I didn't think so there is much of a difference. What else did you ask me?
So other than that was culture and the environment and how the courts react. Like how are the courts there in like Patiala House, and how are the courts when you're dealing with a matter in of a company like Lots?
Right. So the environment definitely is a drastic change. You're occupied with lawyers at one point of time, while when you sit in a company, you're occupied by board at the another time of time, and you're more answerable. You're more of a person who has to be approachable, and you have to go hands in hand with business if you have to survive yourself. However, when you are a litigator, I think you more to do is with the drafting and solving a problem from a very different perspective. You do not initiate with solving a problem, you rather initiate with finding a problem. And when you are sitting on this side of the table, you will always realize that when you understand business, is what you will get to know and how you will get to earn out of it as well. So as a litigator, I think I would say I would be a bread earner for myself. While as a lawyer in a corporate company, I think I'm a bread earner for a lot of people in the company in itself. And in Lots, I think you get to deal with a lot of people around who are no legal knowledge, but you have to ensure that they still respect you for what you are telling them to agree to, and you have to ensure that you tell them how to agree with you. So you are setting the expectations right, you are making them agree to your notion and making them understand that whatever they might be saying might be correct but may have a flip or a similar side to it. So yes, agreements are the major expectations here. While in the lawyer front, I think all of the lawyers will be agreeing to the same position and maybe agreeing and getting along very well. In an in-house job, you will always find it a little difficult to get everybody on the same page, you might be able to get them on a similar pages, I would say.
Okay. And what about the court's reaction? Like, how easy are the courts in litigation, and how easy are they in corporate?
In corporate, I think most of the times you don't get to appear in courts apart from being an authorized representative to the company. While in litigation, definitely your court practice is to appear before the court. So I don't, there barely any relation between them. While and as an in-house counsel, I might only be appearing as an authorized representative while helping a senior out to understand what is the matter and brief him on and off. While in the litigation, I myself will be standing right up in the court and explaining to the judge doing what we are doing.
Okay. So Shreya, obviously you're going through a wave of emotional stress and workload stress and all that emotional pressure. So how do you strike a balance between the superiority that you hold here and yet the approachability that you have to maintain? So balancing it with and containing it with all the stress and everything that you have to go through, and then making yourself available to everyone and also maintaining your superiority.
I think maintaining my superiority has never been my concern. I always believe in a fact till the time you know your facts and till the time you know law, I think you are able to maintain your own stand in a room. So if you're clear with your thought process, you don't need to be superior or a junior to be telling that. And that is what I imbibe into my team as well. If you are correct, you are correct. You just need to tell it the right way. And you need to understand the aura at that point of time to how to be told. It's matter of how you should handle a problem and which side you should handle the problem from. It's not always that you can always shoot it right into the face. But it's not always that you cannot shoot it right into the face. So if I were to say there is a problem which might come from one of the directors to me, I have to ensure that I have to understand the problem from the person and take a legal stand on it and give a little leeway to business to understand how they can prefer and agree to the legal as well. While doing their business in all compliance with laws. So I think that is where it all stands by. And I don't think so supremacy has anything to do with it. It's more to do with your relationship with your business partners in the company.
So you should have a stand for yourself.
Yes,
when you are
that's all. All you need to know is what you are saying. You should be a very well-researched person. Anytime see, when a director or a person to a level of director approaches you, while they approach you with a problem, they sometimes do have a solution with them. Sometimes they are only checking up with you to be sure that the solution is right. Sometimes they might be just checking up with you that you are doing the right thing and you are the right person for them. And sometimes they might not know and you will be giving the right advice. So what you need to do is to be very well researched. So even when I deal it with the law firms, when I deal with as advisors, I ensure whatever question or whatever query I'm asked, I already have an answer to it. But because you need to be 100% sure what they are giving you is the right advice, and you still question them on the XYZ new things which they can give you. Because when you work in a legal department of an in-house counsel, in-house company, what you need to ensure that your costs are minimal and your output is the maximum. So I think that is the best way to be is the very well-researched, very fact-based approach to which and I think India has no less precedences to quote for anything for that matter.
Yeah. So you're working with your juniors, you're working with the board, you're working with people, you're also dealing with the court. So how do you contain the stress that you have to go through if you go through any?
Yeah, definitely. It has no less stress is there. I think the best way to contain the stress is sometimes go get yourself a coffee before you answer something back to somebody. One thing I was taught by my mentor at one point of time is whenever you're very very annoyed with something, don't answer it at that point of time. Maybe give it a time, let your anger settle down, because in anger you tend to reply something else, but when you are silent and you realize that there is something else which is coming up. And so the stress management is a very important thing when it comes to a corporate counsel in a company, because every single day may be stressful, but it's in your hand how you turn it around. And while if I were to say how it has been at Lords, it might be stressful, but it's very enjoyable as well. The more work you have, the happy you are, is the funda I have in my life. And I think that has gotten imbibed into myself. I've imbibed it as a seed into myself, that I have to grow with the stress. And you only thing you need to do to put away the stress is, I think, just keep silent for a little while and jump back. Then you're okay. There's nothing that you need to be stressful about.
And how well your coffee is brewed, of course.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so so any experience that you have had which has not been very well with the board or with the people you are working, and what are some challenges that one has to be ready for when someone is entering in the corporate field and aspiring to be a general counsel, having to multitask so much and having to be at so many places at the same time?
Definitely, there are multiple occasions where you will have difficult situations with board and your business partners in the company, because when you are a lawyer, you have a tendency of showing everything right and telling everybody what right is. However, the problem where it arises is that right is not what is required, apt is what is required at that point of time. And I think what the biggest issue which you would face anytime is your disagreement to let the business do what they want to do, and how to handle them at that point of time without annoying everybody. See, when it comes to business, everything is about earning money, and that is how you are also earning your bread, right? So there are times when the board will disagree with you, and so will you disagree with the board. However, you have to make sure that you bring them on the same platform. There are times when you want to agree or disagree to something, and the board may agree or disagree with your approach also. So how you well manage it is what it takes to be there, and how to manage, how to answer the board, how to relevantly quote the law to them, and how to put it forward to them is the key to the success, I think. And you need to make sure that whatever you tell them, you are backed up by the law, you are backed up by your research. You should be sure about the precedences which have happened in the country. You should be sure about what has brought you to that decision. You should have a concrete base or a background to come to a rationale to say no to something. See, when you say no to business, you are a roadblock, and you don't want to be one. And I think for a very longest of the time, legal departments have always been the roadblock. But I think I can proudly say here that I am no more a roadblock to the company. I'm rather more of a hands-on person with these people, and they're happy to have me on board on almost everything, from reviewing a term and condition to advising the board on how to take it up.
Okay, moving on, the next question is, how important is the designation of a general counsel? So how important is your personality here, and how has the job of a general counsel, the importance of the job, has increased or decreased through time?
I think it's very important to have a general counsel to a company. While the need of this has increased with time, definitely. There was a time when companies would work basis the consultants and grow, and it still won't need one, and still utilize the external law firms or the counsels to do their legal work. However, with time, I think you that's what I said earlier also. I think you need a business partner on and off to understand the ins and outs of your business, your nuances of your business, understand the integrities of the company's expectations, company's values, and company's board of directors, to help them understand all of what is the law for the company and how the company can work in the right manner to be with the law. I think with time, the need has really increased. With the amount of changes in law, you need to be abreast with every change which is coming in. You need to be abreast with anything that is happening around the world. From keeping I think the recent changes with the food laws, I'll give you an example. This is something which helps us keep abreast with everything that comes into the store. Was anything printed on a food now has to be checked with against the FSI law. And whenever there is something which is not right, the officer may any day come out on the store, pick it up, and still we have to ensure that how we fight it against. So there are times when the supplier may actually go ahead and agree to what he has done wrong, and there are times they don't, right? So that is where your expertise comes in. That is where your understanding to law and understanding of business comes in. You need to weigh your possibility of litigation or minimizing of litigation. You need to understand where to fight and where not to fight. You need to understand where to make a balance between being a corporate lawyer and a litigation lawyer. There are times when you would want to spend more money on litigation but get a concrete order so that you don't face something similar later in the company. But there are times where you would agree and let it go and agree to the penalty which is being charged to you. So these are the few nuances which only a person sitting inside the company and understanding that the business can address, rather than a person sitting outside.
So a question just came to my mind, like how strict are things here and how strict are things in other countries where lots has its functions. So how much under surveillance are we when it comes to like food laws and other laws? So how much should we worry about the penalties and the scrutiny?
So our parent company being a public company, we are under a lot of radar from Thailand itself. So we have to be 100% compliant in India, because everything which is done here or anywhere around the world for our parent company, because they have a footprint in a lot of other companies as well, likes of Cambodia, Vietnam and China. So we have to ensure that everything is in compliant in India to ensure that they are compliant in Thailand as well, because it has a ripple effect on them. So we are very strict in compliance with laws. We have to ensure that whatever is being done here is reported in Thailand. While you may say that the legal teams of both the places are really small, however, we still have to address each and every query by ourselves. So to give you an example, I think with all the litigations we do, the major litigation we face nowadays is that of the food, because the food business is one of the biggest chunk of the business we have, and a lot of food officers keep turning up at the store for inspection, for at the time of registration of the licenses. So that is when they pick up the stuff. So they do tell us how to be compliant in. So we have to ensure in all possible manner that we are compliant in, and business takes it in a very good gesture, because they also don't want cost coming to them, because when this is the cost, this at the end of the hits the bottom line, right?
So Shreya, where do you see this going? Where do you see the corporate law as a profession going? So 3 to 5 years down the line, the students who are aspiring now to become general counsels or enter into the corporate field. So what do you advise them?
One thing I definitely advise them is, do work in law firms or as a litigator for some time, because you should definitely know that side of law. You should understand what the court procedures are, because when you don't understand those basics, and when it comes for you to handle litigations in the company, you might actually turn out to be a very nascent person in that, or you might sound ignorant at times as well. So you should definitely know what the growth process. This is a very basic thing which I find lacking in the people who have started right into the in-house jobs, because they might not actually understand how the court works unless they have done internships there. Definitely. So I would definitely tell anybody who want to be a corporate counsel at one point of time, should definitely have a law firm or a litigation experience. It's a very must. You get to learn on a very vast scope of laws. While when you reach a corporate house, your boundaries become a little niche, because you're working more focusedly on the same laws which are more in relation to your company, your side of business, your company side of business. While the litigation will teach you the rest of the sides of business, and you might get a much bigger exposure on a much bigger clientele firm, because when you sit at a law firm or when you litigate, you get to learn. You might be handling about 10 clients at one point of time, and these 10 might have 10 different problems, right? When you sit in a in-house job, you might have 10 different problems, but you have same business and you are to address the same business. So you might be learning 10 different sides of law, but focused on one niche point, while when you sit on the other side, you're looking at a much bigger area of the world.
Okay, so what do you think? What is the magnitude of influx and the outflux that we are looking at in the corporate field, and how much is the corporate field ready to take in, and how much is needed? How many people are needed here?
I think if you look at the recent past, likes of Snapdeal and Flipkart and Walmart, these guys have created a big chunk of legal departments for themselves. One of the biggest news I'd read recently was of Snapdeal closing an entire merger and acquisition transaction with their in-house legal team. I think the utilization of lawyers have increased over a period of time, because one of the biggest reason is to impacting the cost of the company. Legal departments have always been considered as a cost center. It's the ability of the lawyer or the head of the department or lawyers inside the department that they can actually turn the cost center into a revenue center as well. I have a few ideas myself, which I keep giving to my people in here as well.
So thank you so much, Shreya. This was an amazing experience for me, and I hope it was for everyone sitting on the opposite side of the camera. And the clarity and the enlightening way in which you speak, that is very, very inspirational and very, very, I got so much to learn from you. So wrapping it up, I want you to give a message to all the people on Lawyers Club India platform and the aspiring young lawyers.
First of all, thank you so much for having me aboard. What I would want to tell anybody in this field is be in a practice of learning, unlearning and learning again. Because I think that is how our courts are also working, creating precedences all the time and utilizing the same, or ruling out the same and doing it again as well, right? So the more you learn, the more you research, and the more you learn the law, and you are able to address a question thrown at you in a better and a more researched format, and a very good backing with law is going to help you take places. And I think the key to success still remains the hard work. As it's always said by our ancestors and our predecessors, hard work will take you places, definitely. It won't matter which law college you come from, you still would reach the place where you have to reach.
And definitely when you are in stress, you have to have a very good coffee, come back and then take over the problems that you have.
Definitely.